"She's not my sister," remarked the boy as he glimpsed the newborn cradled in his mother's arms. Initially, his parents dismissed his reaction as mere jealousy. To allay his concerns, they opted for a DNA test to confirm the baby's sibling status. However, the results uncovered a startling truth. Lane and Curtis embodied the envy of many, with their fairy tale wedding surrounded by loved ones on a picturesque sunny day. Following their nuptials, they settled in the New York suburbs, their harmonious relationship flourishing. Despite their busy schedules, they found time to enjoy social gatherings with friends on weekends, their bond growing stronger. During Lane's initial pregnancy, she opted to devote herself full-time to childcare, supported by Curtis's thriving business. Despite the adjustments, their lives maintained their semblance of perfection, with Lane ensuring the home was always warm and welcoming. Their first child, Fred, was born, bringing immense joy to the couple. From the outset, Fred displayed signs of remarkable intelligence, surprising both Lana and Curtis. As Fred approached school age, Lana and Curtis contemplated enrolling him in specialized classes for gifted students, an idea that excited Curtis. As Lana's second pregnancy unfolded, Fred eagerly anticipated becoming a big brother, expressing affection by hugging his mother's belly. Despite being only 5 years old, he demonstrated a keen sense of protectiveness towards his mother, much to Lana's delight. However, Lana's labor with their second child proved to be more challenging than anticipated. Despite her preparedness for a natural birth, the delivery was prolonged and exhausting, with the baby showing reluctance to enter the world. The medical staff accompanying Lana during the process soon recognized the severity of her discomfort and distress. Despite their efforts, the baby's arrival was delayed, leaving Lana drained and in considerable discomfort. Lana's condition took a worrisome turn, prompting the doctor to conduct emergency tests. After careful consideration, it was deemed too risky to proceed with the natural delivery. Despite Lana's initial resolve to persevere, her strength waned, and it became evident that conventional means were no longer feasible. With each passing half hour, it became increasingly apparent that Lana lacked the endurance to endure further. The obstetrician recognized the urgency of the situation. The baby's safe delivery was paramount, and time was of the essence. Faced with the looming risks, the medical team swiftly opted for an emergency cesarean section. Curtis, overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, supported the decision. As Lana consented to the procedure, she was swiftly sedated to ensure her comfort and safety. Curtis, despite his desire to support Lana, grappled with his own fears. As the surgery commenced, he found himself overwhelmed by a phobia of blood, losing consciousness momentarily. Nevertheless, the procedure proceeded smoothly, culminating in the safe arrival of their baby girl, whom they named Sarah. As Lana recovered from the anesthesia, Curtis regained consciousness, remaining steadfast by her side. Their hearts swelled with love and awe as they beheld their newborn daughter, a testament to their enduring bond and the miracle of life. "It's another little miracle we've created, my love," Curtis whispered, tenderly kissing Lana's forehead as Sarah nestled in her mother's embrace, nursing. For the first time, Lana expressed her excitement, saying, "I can't wait for Fred to meet her. He's going to be the best big brother in the world." She gazed affectionately at the baby. Upon Lana's discharge from the hospital, Fred eagerly waited on the porch alongside his grandma, eagerly anticipating the arrival of his little sister. As the car door opened, Clarice stepped forward to assist her daughter in getting out with the baby in her arms. However, what followed took everyone by surprise. "This is your sister, Sarah. Come say hi to her," Curtis announced as Lana lowered the baby for Fred to see. Instead of smiling, Fred frowned and looked coldly at the baby. He shook his head and uttered something that left everyone shocked and puzzled. "She isn't my sister," Fred declared, casting a glance at his parents. Silence engulfed the scene as everyone pondered whether Fred was serious or simply joking. Breaking the silence, Clarice, his grandmother, inquired, "What did you say, Fred?" However, Fred remained silent, prompting Curtis to urge him to take another look at the baby. With a frown on his face and eyes filled with silent queries, Fred examined the baby closely. His question challenged the logic of his parents and grandmother. Why did the baby have blonde hair and blue eyes when everyone else in the family had brown hair and brown eyes? "It's hard to explain, sweetie," but this sometimes happens. With time, her hair and eyes could darken. She was just born, Lana attempted to explain. Fred shook his head again, indicating his refusal to accept this explanation, and hurried into the house. Lana and Curtis exchanged concerned glances, unable to comprehend why Fred was making such assertions about their newborn. Could it be jealousy, fear of losing his parents' love? Observing the couple's apprehension, Clarice reassured them, saying they shouldn't worry as it was a normal response. Fred will soon see that his position as the son will not be threatened by the baby, and everything will be fine. Make him feel loved and wanted. In fact, tell him that you need his help, and you'll see how he will change, Clarice advised. The wise words of the experienced woman brought a sense of calm to the couple, yet despite their hopes, nothing changed in the following weeks. Fred continued to maintain a certain distance from Sarah, occasionally reiterating that she was not his sister. Curtis found this behavior concerning and didn't hesitate to address it, recognizing it as a hurtful thing to say. When Lana bathed Sarah, she would involve Fred, hoping that by feeling useful and responsible for his sister, he would let go of his fantasy. However, despite her efforts, Fred remained indifferent, helping with the bath silently and without displaying any affection. He seemed different from the boy who had eagerly awaited his sister's arrival. Despite Lana and Curtis's efforts, nothing seemed to make a difference. As months passed, the once perfect family they had built was now threatened by the skepticism of their 6-year-old son. If Lana didn't insist, Fred would never engage with Sarah. At this stage, Sarah was more aware, and at times, she seemed to seek her older brother's attention, but he acted as if he didn't notice her, which deeply saddened his parents. Unable to bear the situation any longer, Curtis finally persuaded Lana to take Fred to a psychologist. They believed that perhaps his behavior stemmed from exaggerated jealousy and that they needed professional help to address it. Lost and unsure of what to do, Lana reluctantly agreed. The next week, Fred's parents took him to see Warren Robertson, a child psychologist. Despite 4 sessions, Fred remained steadfast in his belief that the girl in their home, nursing from his mother's breasts, was not his real sister. Warren, recognizing Fred's logical nature, proposed an experiment. He suggested that Lana and Curtis undergo a DNA test. Even at 6 years old, Fred understood the concept of DNA testing and was quite rational. Warren believed that once Fred saw the physical proof that Sarah was his sister, his concerns would dissipate. Lana found the idea somewhat radical, fearing it might imply doubts about the child's paternity. However, Curtis reassured her, explaining that the test was simply a formality to help Fred fully accept Sarah into the family. Reluctantly, Lana agreed, unaware of the life-changing surprise awaiting her. The DNA test, though costly, proceeded as planned. Blood samples were collected from both parents, and Sarah's sample was sent to a laboratory. As they awaited the results, Curtis, Lana, and Sarah enjoyed precious moments together. Despite still being unable to walk, Sarah's rapid growth brought joy to their hearts. However, Fred's refusal to interact with Sarah saddened them. It was uncharacteristic of him, as he interacted normally with other children in the neighborhood. The test results became available on Friday morning, prompting Curtis to check them online. As he read the document, a wave of shock overcame him, causing his heart to skip a beat. Hastily, he called Lana, who rushed over with the baby in her arms. After reading the results, Lana sat down in stunned silence, meticulously rereading the document to ensure she understood everything. The results unequivocally revealed that Sarah's DNA did not match that of Lana and Curtis. The revelation left them both in a state of disbelief and confusion. Lana couldn't fathom how this could be possible, wondering if she had been unfaithful. Seeking confirmation, Curtis called the laboratory to verify the accuracy of the results, which only deepened their distress. Upon confirmation from the doctor, Lana broke down in tears, questioning how Sarah could have come from her if their DNA didn't match. Curtis attempted to comfort her, suggesting the possibility of a mistake in the test. However, Lana's anguish persisted, exacerbated by the realization that neither of them had witnessed Sarah's birth due to Lana's anesthesia and Curtis's fainting spell during the surgery. The chilling possibility that their baby might have been switched at birth cast a shadow of terror over the couple. In the days that followed, Curtis and Lana struggled to come to terms with the situation. Despite their love for Sarah, the doubt planted by the DNA test and the circumstances of her birth tainted the once joyful atmosphere in their home. As they grappled with whether to pursue the truth and risk losing the child they had grown to love, their emotional turmoil only intensified. Curtis found it difficult to focus at work, consumed by thoughts of the unsettling revelation. Meanwhile, Lana's feelings toward Sarah became clouded by uncertainty, overshadowing the intense love she once felt for her. Even Clarice couldn't escape the overwhelming sense of dread and sadness that engulfed the family. Eventually, the couple made the difficult decision to launch an investigation into the matter. Determined to uncover the truth, armed with the DNA results, they confronted the authorities at the maternity ward where Lana had given birth, demanding a thorough investigation. Faced with the threat of legal action, the hospital administrators pledged to spare no effort in unraveling the mystery. A dedicated team was assigned to scrutinize all births that occurred around the same time as Sarah's. After 10 painstaking days of investigation, they identified a family who potentially had Curtis and Lana's biological child. However, the family in question lived in dire circumstances, far worse than those of Fred's parents. They had been struggling to make ends meet while living with their in-laws since their home was destroyed in a storm. The baby girl, suspected to be Lana and Curtis's biological child, was born with a cleft lip, requiring costly corrective surgery and ongoing treatment for a chance at a normal life. When the maternity ward team informed the young couple of the grave mistake, the mother was devastated, grappling with the enormity of the error. Meanwhile, the father remained silent but shared his wife's profound sorrow. Despite their attachment and love for the baby they had cared for as their own, they faced the agonizing prospect of parting ways. Similarly burdened with the weight of truth, Lana and Curtis wrestled with a tumult of emotions as they gazed at Sarah. With no easy way out, both families resolved to rectify the mistake by exchanging their babies, a decision fraught with heart-wrenching complexity. Receiving a new child in their arms, they experienced a blend of detachment and anticipation, knowing that these infants were the legitimate daughters of their respective families. As they embarked on a new chapter, bidding farewell to the children they had grown to love, a poignant realization dawned on Lana and Curtis. Driving home, Curtis pondered Fred's uncanny intuition about the baby's true identity, a poignant reminder of the painful truth they had uncovered. How Fred knew, no one will ever know, but Curtis often pondered his son's intuition. As they awaited the arrival of the new Sarah, Lana observed, her hair is darker, like ours, but her eyes are sort of bluish. Once again, Fred waited with Grandma Clarice, this time calmer and devoid of anxiety. When his parents arrived, carrying the girl, Fred approached Lana and cast his gaze upon the little one. He studied her for a moment before she reached out her arms toward him, eliciting a broad smile from Fred. "This is my sister, can I hold her?" he asked. Bringing tears to everyone's eyes, the girl quickly adapted to her new family, capturing Curtis and Lana's hearts, particularly because of Fred's affectionate care. Fred, in turn, relished in playing with and looking after his baby sister, bringing joy to the household. Over time, the corrective surgery on her lip enhanced her beauty even further. Fred and Sarah grew up as inseparable best friends. To this day, years later, the mystery of how Fred knew remains unsolved. Even Fred himself can't recall the exact reason behind his intuition, a childhood enigma. Nevertheless, Clarice insists that it was Fred's instinct that prevented a grave mistake, saving two families from a tragic error. After watching this story, what do you think of it? Then there isn't another story about. Let's expect what will happen. One evening, as Jack took a leisurely stroll down the street, he noticed a woman grappling with a malfunctioning stroller. Showing his empathetic nature, Jack approached and offered his assistance. Though initially taken aback, the woman eventually welcomed his help. The next morning, Jack found himself unexpectedly escorted to the local police station. In the interview room, he learned of his arrest, shocked to discover it was related to his interaction with the woman and her stroller the previous day. As the police unraveled the full story, Jack's disbelief grew stronger. Throughout his life, Jack had been cautioned about his excessive kindness. Concerned loved ones had warned him of potential exploitation, yet, Jack remained steadfast in his belief that the world needed more kindness. Unfortunately, the consequences of his actions had caught up with him on a crisp autumn evening. Jack and his wife Monica decided to go out for dinner to celebrate Monica's new teaching job. Despite their busy schedules and tight finances, Jack felt compelled to treat Monica. Choosing to walk to the nearby restaurant, they encountered a woman in need of assistance. Monica, mindful of their dinner reservation, initially urged them to continue walking. However, knowing Jack's compassionate nature, she reluctantly allowed him to intervene. On the side of the road, the woman struggled with a worn-out stroller, with a baby nestled inside. Approaching the situation, Jack noticed the woman's nervousness. Despite her protests, he insisted on helping with the stroller. Concerned about the late hour and dropping temperatures, with determination, Jack knelt down to examine the faulty wheel while Monica stood nearby, offering a smile. Despite the delay causing them to miss their reservation, Jack engaged in friendly conversation with the woman, prioritizing her well-being over their schedule. Monica couldn't help but notice the woman's nervous demeanor, her eyes shifting between Monica, Jack, and the baby in the stroller. Sensing the mother's anxiety, Monica understood her reluctance to accept help from strangers. As Jack worked on fixing the wheel, he tried to engage the woman in conversation, asking about the baby's age. However, her responses were hesitant and unclear, indicating discomfort or difficulty in conversing. Recognizing her unease, Jack refrained from further questioning and focused on the task at hand. Thankfully, the repair proved straightforward, and he soon had the stroller back in working order. Jack was surprised that the woman hadn't been able to fix the wheel herself, attributing her struggle to her evident distress and the chilly weather. Once the wheel was securely fixed, the woman hurriedly thanked Jack, avoiding eye contact, and swiftly departed with the stroller, seemingly indifferent to her baby's comfort on the uneven sidewalk. In hindsight, both Jack and Monica should have been more cautious, but their compassionate nature clouded their judgment. Continuing on their way to dinner, they engaged in light conversation, unaware that the truth of the situation would soon unfold before them. Despite arriving slightly behind schedule for their reservation, Jack and Monica enjoyed a delightful dinner, exchanging stories about their week. On their journey home, they opted for a slightly different route, passing by the location where Jack had helped the woman with the stroller earlier. As they approached, Jack noticed some activity in the vicinity, but the distance prevented him from discerning details. Despite his curiosity, Monica preferred to hasten home, and they continued on their way, disappearing from view just before several police cars with flashing lights arrived at the scene. The incident with the stroller weighed on Jack's mind, leaving him wondering if his act of kindness had made any difference for the woman that evening. As dawn began to break, Jack and Monica were abruptly awakened by insistent pounding on their front door. Startled by the unexpected disturbance at such an early hour, they exchanged bewildered glances, hastily throwing on some clothes. Jack made his way downstairs, bracing himself for whatever awaited on the other side of the door. The relentless pounding grew louder with each moment, causing Jack's irritation to escalate. Despite the chill of the autumn morning, "This better be important," he muttered to himself, unaware of the gravity of the situation. Opening the door with a mix of annoyance and curiosity, Jack was taken aback to find four stern-looking policemen standing before him, their worn expressions hinting at a long night. Bewildered as to why they were at his doorstep at such an ungodly hour, Jack awaited an explanation. Before he could utter a word of inquiry, one of the officers issued a stern demand for his immediate presence, emphasizing the urgency of the matter at hand. Reluctantly, Jack acquiesced, agreeing to accompany them to the station, albeit seeking assurance that he wasn't being placed under arrest before complying. As it transpired, the woman Jack assisted was involved in trafficking illegal substances. Using the stroller as a cover for concealment, this provided the authorities with grounds to approach and subsequently apprehend her. Fortunately, Jack was not implicated in any wrongdoing. Instead, he was commended for his assistance in the case and even received a reward for his cooperation. After watching this story, how do you feel about the story? Then there isn't another story. Let's continue. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Baltimore's skyline was bathed in a golden glow. Bustling streets teeming with people amidst the scent of smoke lingering in the air, it seemed Like just another typical day in the city, yet for Ronnie, a black firefighter, it would prove to be anything but ordinary. Living in Baltimore, Ronnie had long felt like a forgotten figure in a city that often turned a blind eye to its less fortunate residents. Having witnessed his fair share of tragedies over the years, he thought he had seen it all, but what awaited him that night would surpass anything he had experienced before. The day started innocuously enough, with a distant rumble, signaling the approach of an impending storm, akin to distant thunder echoing in the horizon. Soon after, rain began to fall in torrents, cascading from the heavens in unrelenting sheets. It quickly became apparent that this was not your typical passing shower. It was the onset of a full-blown flood, a natural disaster of unprecedented magnitude. Ronnie's routine day took a drastic turn when he received a call of utmost urgency. A massive storm was bearing down on the city, threatening to unleash its fury with torrential rains and fierce winds. Without hesitation, Ronnie mobilized all available firefighters, issuing an emergency call for assistance in response to the imminent crisis. As news of flooding in some of Baltimore's most impoverished neighborhoods spread, Ronnie wasted no time reporting for duty at the nearest fire station, ready to confront the impending calamity head-on. Amidst the chaos, Ronnie couldn't help but notice the subtle glances and feigned indifference from his fellow firefighters, burly white men who had long overlooked him, but there was no time for resentment or reflection as they were swiftly dispatched to aid in the evacuation efforts, tasked with rescuing residents trapped in their inundated homes. On that fateful day, the scene at Ground Zero painted a grim picture of desperation and chaos. People frantically gathered whatever belongings they could salvage, their cries of anguish echoing through the streets as they faced the harsh reality of losing their possessions. It was a scene straight out of a disaster movie, yet far more terrifying because it was unfolding in real life. With the city engulfed in turmoil, Ronnie knew he had to act swiftly to save as many lives as possible. Without hesitation, he plunged into action, navigating through the tumultuous streets to aid those in need of rescue. Braving fierce floodwaters that rose up to his neck, Ronnie fearlessly positioned himself as a shield between the raging waves and terrified children, determined to lead them to safety. Throughout the harrowing night, Ronnie worked tirelessly pulling people from their inundated homes and carrying them to higher ground. Just when he thought he had reached his limit, a faint cry caught his attention, drawing him towards an alleyway where he discovered two small children huddled together in fear. Without a moment's hesitation, Ronnie swooped in to protect them, cradling them tightly under each arm as he forged ahead through the treacherous waters, guiding the children through narrow passages and shielding their bare feet from harm. Ronnie pressed on, his determination unwavering despite the exhaustion weighing heavily upon him. After what felt like an eternity of navigating through rising waters and crowded alleyways, Ronnie finally spotted a glimmer of hope, a refuge illuminated by the headlights of desperate families seeking shelter from the relentless floodwaters. Ronnie stumbled forward, his arms tightly gripping the exhausted toddlers as he carried them outside what appeared to be an orphanage. Gratefully, someone knowledgeable took charge immediately upon hearing of Ronnie's valiant efforts to save the two innocent lives. Ronnie promptly requested a change of clothes for the kids and assisted them in getting dressed. He managed to procure some food from the staff, who prioritized distribution to the elderly, kids, and those with critical conditions before others, given the scarcity of supplies. Seated with the children, Ronnie attempted to comfort them now that he had a chance to properly observe them. The twins, no more than 5 years old, had hair the color of golden sun rays, the girl holding tightly to her brother's arm. "I'm Ronnie, a fireman and your friend. I'll make sure nothing bad happens to you and help you find your parents," he reassured them warmly. "What's your name?" "David," Ronnie inquired. "Sarah," hiding shyly behind her brother, responded softly. "Sarah, don't worry. Kids, you're safe now. I'll make sure nothing hurts you. Just like I did before, I promise," Ronnie said soothingly, hoping to calm them. "Need you to help me as I helped you, okay?" he asked, looking hopeful. Okay," David replied. "But how can we help you, Mr. Ronnie? We're so little," Sarah asked innocently, eliciting a chuckle from Ronnie. "Tell me the names of your parents." "Mom is Jenny, and Dad is Tony," Sarah replied, with David correcting her to Anthony. It turned out their parents were working when the storm hit and had warned the kids to stay indoors, but they went outside when the water entered the house. Unfortunately, the kids didn't know anything more about their family's whereabouts, leaving few options for finding them on short notice. Once they were safe, Ronnie resolved to care for them himself until their family could be located or alternative arrangements made. Ronnie exhausted every avenue to trace the children's origins, but no one had any information about them or their parents. With no other recourse, Ronnie made the difficult decision to care for them himself until their parents could be located or alternative arrangements made. He brought them to his own home, ensuring they had food, shelter, and a sense of security during the uncertain times ahead. As time passed, it became increasingly evident that finding their parents or suitable guardians was unlikely. Ronnie realized that if the twins were to have a chance at a better life, they would need to leave Baltimore. Thus, he arranged for them to live with his aunt in the next city, where they could find stability and a brighter future. Leaving behind a note with his new address for anyone who might inquire, Ronnie departed with the twins, joining the ranks of refugees seeking hope elsewhere. He ensured that the twins were cared for and loved as if they were his own, earning them the moniker of Ronnie Kids in their new community, a testament to his selfless act. After 6 months, during which Ronnie provided for the twins' every need, their parents finally surfaced. Grateful for Ronnie's unwavering care and devotion, they explained that the father had been severely injured during the storm, necessitating their relocation to another city via helicopter. Reunited with their children, they expressed heartfelt gratitude to Ronnie for safeguarding their twins during their time of need. The mother persisted in her search for the children, and once the father's condition stabilized, they returned to Baltimore to continue their quest. Despite their own physical challenges, they tirelessly inquired about the kids, hoping for a reunion. Eventually, they were reunited with their children, taking a piece of Ronnie's heart with them. "Uncle Ronnie, we will never forget you," the girl expressed, wrapping him in a hug. "Come visit us," the boy exclaimed, waving enthusiastically. Fast forward 27 years. Ronnie found himself in a hospital in the next town when he received an unexpected and heartwarming surprise. The twins, now adults, had established a college fund in Ronnie's name, a token of gratitude for his kindness. Overwhelmed by their generosity, Ronnie realized the lasting impact of his actions. "Uncle Ronnie," Sarah greeted with unchanged enthusiasm. "Wait till David sees you. He'll be overjoyed," she added mischievously. Seeing the grown twin standing before him, healthy and smiling, filled Ronnie with immense pride. Their invitation to a celebration dinner became a cherished tradition, bringing them together every other week to share stories and express gratitude for their bond. As a special token of appreciation, they presented Ronnie with a framed photo of the three of them from that pivotal night 27 years ago. Overwhelmed with emotion, Ronnie thanked them for the enduring reminder of their shared journey and the profound impact of their connection. That's all for our today's video. If you enjoyed this story, we're confident that the next video appearing on your screen will also captivate you, so don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next story.